How does the mind actually control us? Why do we tend to identify with the mind? What is that is beyond the mind that is able to observe it? And what happens when there are no thoughts, yet we still exist? These are the questions that I'm going to be answering for you in this video. And by the end of it, you're going to understand why you're identifying with the mind, how to overcome it, and I'm going to give you the keys on how to control your mind. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ivan, and in today's video, you're going to know what you are to realize what you are not. So imagine if you can go through life knowing that you're already complete and whole, and that any apparent lack that you think you have is just a thought from your mind. Is it too good to be true? I feel many of us can intellectually understand that we are not the mind. Yet why is it that we fall into these mind traps, these subtle influences where we become entangled with it? First thing that comes to mind is that we function through the mind. We operate through the mind. This is part of our physical experience, but yet we don't understand the mind to see beyond it. There is one underlying constant thing in your life. It is your particular observation, your point of view. This is how you have an experience, and it is through this observation that you're able to observe yourself, observe the world, observe the events that happen in your life. But this brings the question that if you are the observer, then who is the observed? Who is the person? Observation is the substratum of your existence in your life and never actually changes. Everything that happens around you changes, but you never actually change. Imagine you are a passenger in a car. You can observe the movement, but yet there is a stillness inside you and around you and inside the car. This is the way observation works. This is how you are able to observe the thoughts, the emotions that your mind is conjuring up. But this observation does need to be pure. You can't be identifying, labeling, analyzing, and categorizing everything, because that is simply just stemming from the mind. You must learn to just simply observe, be aware, and stop reacting to the mental activity, the mental chatter that is happening inside your mind. But what exactly is the mind? Well, the mind consists of I thoughts, which creates the I as a person with thoughts and emotion. It is the identification with the thoughts and the emotions that create the mind, and the mind creates the person, which is just an idea. Your mind is really just mental activity of identifying, labeling, analyzing, and categorizing. So what you deem yourself to be is really just an idea, a thought. It's psychological. The real question is, what is observing those thoughts and those emotions that create this idea of a person? And that is awareness. But what exactly is awareness? Awareness is the unchanging, pure, present moment that is you. It is the substratum of your entire being. It is how you are aware of the mind and its contents. You are the knower of the mind. You are timeless. You are eternal. You never change. You're simply just aware of everything. This awareness is characterized in stillness and wholeness that is within you and that observes the movement and the contents of your mind. So you cannot be the mind because you are observing the mind. The mind comes and goes, but you remain in your being, in your awareness, in what is the present moment and never changes. When God said, "Be still and know that I am God," He said it as awareness. He's talking about the stillness that is awareness, because your awareness is God within you. It is existence, life, consciousness, the only thing that is actually real. So why do we tend to identify with our minds, even though it is obvious that we are always aware and observing the mind? Well, in order to realize your true nature as awareness, you must know what you are not to know what you are. So without becoming aware of your true nature, you are bounded to become identified with the mind. Now, this is also part of our social conditioning. This is how we were raised, told to become something, achieve something, to enhance ourselves, to fill the void of not recognizing our completeness, our wholeness. That is the simple notion of being aware, of being conscious. So we're told to chase after ideas, ideologies, and dogmas. But what you really seek is to know yourself, to know what you really are, to understand your true nature, because it holds everything that we desire. All of our desires and goals already within us. Deep down, all you want is a peace of mind, to know that you're okay, to know that you're already complete and whole. And guess what? You are. And the only thing that stops you from experiencing that is the thought that you are not complete and whole. These thoughts and emotions is why we are identifying with the mind. Remember, it comes from the idea of a person. You are not the person. You are having a physical experience as a person. You as awareness is the source of the person. But what exactly is this thought of a person? It is your ego. Ego is another name for your mind. Ego is a thought of who I think that I am, not who I really am. This ego creates a split between you and your environment by identifying with thoughts and emotions that creates the illusion that there is a separation. Ego is a filter that distorts reality based on the beliefs and the self-concept, your consciousness, that you have about yourself. Ego is the person, the personal you, the false sense of I. Awareness is the impersonal you. It is the real I, the I that we all share together. Ego identifies with thoughts, emotions, beliefs, anything in your physical world because it needs to build your individuality, your personality, the person construct. But ego is defined by these thoughts and emotions because it needs the validation and approval in order to feel complete and whole, which we inherently already have. This is the trap. Ego convinces us that we lack when we're actually just thinking that we lack. Ego is just another thought. It is camouflaged as mental activity of identifying, labeling, and categorizing things. It is the one that says this is good, this is bad. Ego lives in the world of black and white. You think that you are the thinker, but there is no thinker. There is just mental activity that is happening naturally. Because if I were to ask you, how do you think, or how are you thinking? Could you be able to explain how it's actually happening? You just know that it's happening. The ego creates the thinking mind, and this thinking mind is one of the biggest reasons why we suffer and identify with the mind. This mind is looking for problems, not the solution, because ego can only find the negative in your circumstances. It is the negative polarity. But this thinking mind is restless. It's swaying your attention in different directions. It's always concerned with the outcome, and it survives by constantly thinking. It creates a chain of thoughts going from one thought to the next, keeping you stuck in your mind away from the present moment. You might be aware that you're thinking, but you're not aware of being aware. So the only way to stop it is to observe it, to realize your true nature. Thoughts are the cause. Your thinking is the effect from your thought. Thoughts are always just happening, but it's how you think about them that defines what they are. And what exactly are thoughts? Thoughts are just information, and all information vibrates at a certain frequency that is tied to the emotion of that thought. Thoughts create your emotions, but your emotions guide your thoughts. An example of this is having the thought that I am not deserving of this. That thought creates the emotions of worry, fear, guilt, shame. And those emotions create more thoughts, and those thoughts reinforce that emotion. Your mind can be seen as this constant movement of thoughts and emotions that literally trap you without you becoming aware of it. The mind is essentially unconscious activity. You are consciousness. You are the light and the source which gives power to the mind. This unconsciousness is the reason why we get identify with thoughts such as I am sad, I am angry, I'm this, I'm that. We don't realize that we are becoming those things. What you think is what you become. The Buddha has said this all along. Our thoughts literally become things. They become real when we build a strong identification with them. Identification with your mind, with the person, with thoughts and emotion is your limitation. If you're going to identify with anything, identify with awareness so you can become anything that you want. It's imperative that we take responsibility for our thoughts by choosing them consciously. They do create your reality. These are the tools that we've been given through the power of the mind. Your thoughts is what follows your I am. Whatever you say after I am is what you become. The real reason why the mind is able to control you is because it easily grabs your attention by any thought that it throws at you. Because it is our identification with the I thought that is stemming from the mind that gives the mind the power to control us. This power is your attention. So this takes me to key point number 1 on how to control your mind, which is your attention. Identification itself is not the problem. It is your uncontrolled attention and your unconscious identification that is. By simply becoming aware of your attention, you stop giving the mind its power source. The mind needs your attention to actually exist. Awareness is following your attention. You can become aware of where your attention is. Here's an analogy for you. Eyes are like your attention, but what is going through your eyes is your awareness, is what gives it power. It's what gives it meaning. Dr. Joe Dispenza has a very famous saying. He says, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Your thoughts are energy. Emotion is energy. Awareness is the energy that is giving all life force to everything. Awakening is the process of realizing that you are the awareness that is observing the mental activity of the mind, its movement. The moment you start to question your mind, the thoughts, the emotion, this is the moment that your life changes, that the unconscious activity can no longer have an effect on you. The mind needs you to exist, but awareness doesn't need anything to exist. It is literally existence itself. Thoughts are just coming and going. They are not your continuous experience. If you were to look for a mind inside your brain or head, you would not find anything. The mind does not exist. It is simply just a thought that creates the idea of a person. Awareness is who you are. It is always there. So when you really become aware of your attention and where it's being placed, you start to notice the kind of thoughts that you tend to entertain. Which takes me to key point number 2, which is directing your thought. You must consciously choose your thoughts. Have a definitive aim of the kind of thoughts that you want to have, because again, they do create your reality. Thoughts are the closest thing to your awareness. The unconscious identification happens because we simply don't choose our thought. We don't acknowledge that everything that we identify with, we literally become. A great example that I use with my clients is thoughts about a job interview. Because the mind is the negative polarity, so it will create the thoughts such as, am I even qualified? Why would they hire me? What if I'm not prepared? These thoughts create this horizontal way of thinking, the thinking mind. This is why you suffer, which create emotions which guide more thoughts to happen. You get lost in your mind through this identification with the thought. So when you take control of the direction of your thoughts, you start to become the master of it. But here is the real key and how you really control your mind, is to not identify with anything. Identification is a role that you are playing. It's a character that you are choosing. Awareness is how you control your mind. And you do it through your attention and the kind of thoughts that you are entertaining. Thoughts give you a physical experience. Awareness is the only real thing that is observing these thoughts and emotions to happen. Do not create with your ego. It is a limitation and it makes you suffer. Well guys, to conclude this video, you hold the keys to control your mind. Through your attention and by directing your thoughts, you become the master of your mind. The mind is not you. It has never been you. It is only a limitation, an aspect of you. You are the operant power of it. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do hope that this video is going to help you out. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel, as I'll be making more videos coming very soon. And as always, I will see you in the next video.